Nintendo, for some reason, really likes to make their handhelds uncomfortable. I remember when I was young, I got a 3DS, and I really liked it, and I played it all the time, but for whatever reason, the form factor made my hands cramp up. It was not comfortable at all. So when I was little, I took, we had these things called bendaroos. I don't know if you know of them. Basically little strings dipped in colored wax, and then you made shit out of them. And I made a grip for my 3DS out of bendaroos. And when I later dug out my old 3DS to, check it out again when I was older, that fucking thing was covered in wax, and it took a long time to clean it all up because of that. But it's just an example of something Nintendo made to play handheld, and it wasn't exactly comfortable or fun to use handheld. The same thing happened with the Nintendo Switch. I understand why the Nintendo Switch is uncomfortable to use, and I understand the need for there to not be much variation in the controllers. The Joy-Cons can be used individually so that you buy the system and it basically comes with two controllers, and I think that that's really great. That's something I love about the system, but unfortunately, the cost of that is ergonomics and comfort. Now the Switch 2 has come out and it has the exact same problem the Switch 1 has. That's why I got this, the Satisfye Zen Grip 2. I'm sure you've seen this before. A lot of people advertise it. This is the beat-em-ups variety. So if you're watching this video, you've probably heard of him. So today I want to talk about whether or not this is good and my overall journey in trying to make the Nintendo Switch a usable system. When it comes to the original Switch, I almost immediately wanted to fix that problem, that it wasn't comfortable, wasn't good to play. So the first thing I bought was Butter Fox is the brand. They called it a Switch grip case. It was not. It just grabbed onto the controllers basically, and then you could use the controllers with grips. They were okay. They were not the answer to my problem. Unfortunately, I don't have them with me right now. They're buried in some bin somewhere, and I couldn't find them. But I moved away from those. Ultimately, there were things I liked and things I didn't like, and I took that into the next step moving forward. Initially, what I didn't like about them is that at the end of the day, once you snap those on, you still have Joy-Cons. They're comfortable, but the sticks are small, the buttons are small. They're not necessarily great for games like shooters. I played a lot of Fortnite at the time, and it just wasn't quite what I wanted it to be, but I rode along with those for a significant period of time because they were not bad. They encased the entire Joy-Con except for the rail and the face, so the triggers and bumpers were also encased, and they had just a little piece of plastic over top that you could push in, and then that would press the triggers and bumpers. It was the same thing for the slide release. On mine, I must have gotten a version that wasn't great, I guess, because if you press the slide release button, it would stick, and you had to pull the whole Joy-Con out and push that thing back into place so that it wasn't always just loose on the rail. It was not a great design there. I don't know if that was a design flaw or if it was something specifically with mine that was wrong. Those reasons are kind of why I was like, okay, I need to find something else. Another thing you've probably seen before is the Hori Split Pad Pro. I bought those because I figured, hey, this will solve my problem with it still being a Joy-Con underneath. It has bigger triggers, it has bigger joysticks, it has bigger buttons. Seemed great. So I bought the Hori Split Pad Pros, and let me tell you, they weren't great. I would not recommend these to anybody. If you still have the original Switch or Switch OLED and you haven't upgraded yet, but you're looking out for something to make it a little more comfortable, I would not recommend the Hori Split Pad Pros. For one, the right Joy-Con died and just fucking totally failed. First, the joystick went out and wouldn't work, and then I think the whole thing just stopped connecting. I threw those out or gave them away or something, which is why I don't have them here to show today. There were lots of issues I had with them. They were fine, except you couldn't detach them and use them as a controller. and they didn't have any rumble, and they didn't have a wake option, which didn't really matter because since they were always attached, you had the Switch in your hand. You didn't really need it to wake them. And just missing a lot of features, no motion control. And ultimately, especially after the one died, I got rid of them. Didn't even want another set. I knew that it wasn't right immediately, but especially with how quick that one went out, that was it. Then finally, the last product I bought was these. These are some cheap Chinese Pro Switch Joy-Cons. These are by a brand called Binbok. And it is big, meaty Joy-Cons. Now, these are super cheap. You can hear, you might be able to hear these button clicks sound cheap. I can flex it and it makes a lot of noise. Really cheap plastic. Like, generally not a super high quality product. It's not a premium product, but the controllers themselves were cheap. They didn't cost much money. So I'm totally willing to forgive any cheapness in the product if it doesn't cost much. These have been great. All the reviews before I bought them said that basically they had quality control issues and you didn't really know if you were going to get a good set. I saw that and decided, you know what? I'll get them. I got them off of Amazon. That way, if they didn't work, I could return them, but they showed up and they worked flawlessly. They still work to this day. They're dead right now because my Switch 1's dead right now. But they worked beautifully. They wake the system. They have gyro. They have rumble. They can be used together as a wireless controller. They have back paddles, which at the time, I wasn't even really looking for back paddles. I was just looking for a better solution. At this point now, back paddles is almost a requirement for me, especially with the Pro 2 controller having them. You know, I was rocking these for so long that I would use these instead of my Pro controller for the Switch 1 because of the back paddles. So these are ultimately what I landed on, and I liked them a lot. But now I've got the Switch 2, and these Binbok controllers aren't compatible with it unless I did some wonky 3D printing of a rail system that'll snap in, and then I gotta charge them separate. Just way too much of a pain for me to go through to use these, and I'm on the hunt, looking for something, once again, to make the Switch 2 usable. Now, I love the Switch 2 so far. I got it pretty quick after launch, and I am absolutely loving it. It's so cool. The issue is the same that there was on the Switch 1. It is these darn controllers. They're too thin. So, like I said, got a Satisfye grip. A lot of people recommended these for the Switch 1 also, and I never got one because I wasn't sure if it'd really be comfortable. They always talked about the off-center right grip, and I just didn't know if I'd really like that. I like more of a uniform approach, like a lot of controllers have, where, you know, it's even on both sides as far as the grips go. But let me tell you, this grip is incredible. There are some drawbacks and some complaints that I have about it that maybe mean this isn't where I'm landing. But all of my complaints, all of my nitpicks ultimately boil down to, at the end of the day, it's still Joy-Cons. For starters, it's very comfortable, very easy to use. If you don't mind the small sticks and small buttons, this is absolutely perfect. Except if you want to take the Joy-Cons off, you got to pull the grip off. So that can be annoying if you're constantly using them. It's not going to be a big deal for me. In, like, say a couple of years, I'll have extra sets and I won't need to ever really pull the Joy-Cons off of the Switch itself. The left side, sometimes if I hold it funny, this protruding piece of plastic here will kind of dig into my finger a little bit, and it can be uncomfortable, but that's just the way I'm holding it. I just gotta hold it right, like a fucking human. Really my only complaints with it is that the sticks are so small, the buttons are still small, and there are no back paddles. Everything else about it is fantastic. Like I said, I've grown really accustomed to having those back paddles, and with them not present here, it is a drawback for me. If it's not something you really care about, this is the perfect solution. Really comfortable, still dockable. It's great. You can get it with a carry case. It's not overly expensive. It's not cheap, but it's not as expensive as some other products I've seen. The fit and finish is great. It seems really high quality. The texture is good. It just doesn't feel cheap, and it's comfortable. There's not much more you can really say about a product like this. When you're using it, you barely even think about it, which is what you want from something that's made to make something more comfortable. When I'm playing my Switch in handheld, I'm not thinking about any discomfort or any drawbacks. You know, with a product like this, I don't really have a ton to say about it. It's not technology in the sense that nothing can ever go wrong with it other than it breaking, and the only thing I'm talking about is the comfort, which, you know, beyond, yeah, it's comfortable, there's not much to say. Yeah, the colors on this variety are great. They're not really my style generally, but Beat 'em Ups is a creator I like, so supporting him, and I think that it does look great also. I wasn't expecting to like the color scheme as much as I do. But ultimately, there's not a ton to say. Really comfortable, like using it. And when I'm playing, I don't even think about it. And I think that is great. Now, like I said, personally, I like the back buttons, and the control sticks are just a little small for me. So I don't know if I'm going to stay on this. I'm going to keep this for a while for sure, and I'm definitely never going to get rid of it. But I don't know if this is ultimately going to be where I land for the Switch 2. There are a couple products coming out soon. The MobiPad M12 HD and MobiPad M12 Pro, as well as the Nixie Hyperion 3. Both premium Joy-Cons coming out for the Switch 2 to make it more comfortable. I have drawbacks about those. I don't think that I would land on those. I don't think that I'm going to like those very much. If you want to know why, I go into it more at the video suggested at the end. If you like this video, let me know what you think. Leave a comment. If you didn't like this video, let me know what you think and drop a dislike. Either way, if you made it this far, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.